Hey, folks, wrestling all day, every day, the podcast. This was supposed to be episode 5, Sean, but sickness decided to run rampant and drop elbows and body slams through my entire house. I'm going to just throw that in there since we're doing this.
Well, it actually still is episode number 5.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We're still 5. We just had to move it. Never mind. People out
Yeah,
there, ignore this. We put it on Thursdays. Just ignore that.
yeah. We kind of switched some things up. We had to move some people around. It's all good though. How was your week, Jay?
So far, so good. Like finishing up on that website. I'll send that to you afterwards. Folks, you got to check this out. I'll be posting a website for a dispensary in Springfield, Tennessee soon. So it's going to be really cool. Been working on it for a bit. But anyway, that's just a little sidetrack. How's your week been going?
Man, my week's been all right. I've had a little bit of a nasal thing going on, but not too bad, man. Not too bad. I've had a few appointments, and life is kind of getting back on track.
Man, that's all that matters. You got to get back to normal. It's hard to get
I
back
went, yeah. Did you know that they have Amazon Fresh stores?
No, they have Amazon Fresh. Like they deliver Amazon Fresh.
Yeah, dude. It's like you can go grocery shopping. We're not sponsored, by the way. That'd be cool.
No.
But you can go shopping at these stores, man, or you can order online and you can pick them up. Right? And I went to one today. I was absolutely blown away. But it's just like a small Walmart.
What? Yeah, I've never seen one. That's kind of cool. I have to watch out for one of those.
Yeah. We've got one that's like an hour away from me. Actually, there's one in like all directions of me, so it's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, do you want to bring in our guest today? Do you want to talk a little bit about our guest?
I cannot wait. Indie legend, Damien Wayne. This is it for. I mean, as far as I think, indie legend. There's several folks, and he's one of them. So this is. I've been waiting for this one for a while. So let's bring him in. I'm so excited. Mr. Damien, welcome. You got to put him in the middle. You got this.
Yep. There we go.
First off, thank you so much. So much for coming on.
Oh man, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. Legend, I don't know about all that, but I'm definitely glad to be with you guys and have some fun.
Yes, sir. I think you're a legend in my eyes. It's the fans are the people that make you the legends, and you make yourself a legend. But in my eyes, you're a legend, and a lot of folks that know you around here. So
I guess I'm doing something right then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, you want to start it off? Want to give me a drink of water?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Mr. Damien. So, first question is, what is your first memory of professional wrestling in life?
Well, I know I was at my grandmother's house, and I just know it was a Saturday morning, skimming through cartoons, and just came across wrestling. I know it was Crockett's, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling because I was born and raised in Virginia, and I have no clue who it was on TV or nothing. I just was like, "Ooh, what is this?" And boom, hooked from that very moment.
Very nice, very nice. Growing up as a young man, and like getting into wrestling and actually like watching it. Who were some of the favorites that you had?
I started off, of course, 19. That I discovered it in 1978. I was 7 years old, so of course, it was basically a lot of the good guys. Always as a little kid, you like the good guys. I slowly, I always make fun of Mr. Bill Eadie because I always tell him he's responsible for corrupting this young kid's mind because the Mass Superstar was the first heel I started cheering for. And then Nikita Koloff made his in front of a crowd debut at the Hampton Coliseum, and that's where I was born and raised, is in Hampton. So I was always going to Hampton. So when he came out that night, he came out in jeans and a white wife beater with Ivan, and we all thought it was Road Warrior Hawk, and we were like, "Oh shit, Hawk turned bad, Hawk turned bad." And then he said it was Nikita. So the very next show, me and my best friend sitting in the front row with a Russian flag because we were Nikita marks.
That's awesome.
at like 13 is when 2020 broke the secrets and I understood what was going on. So my favorites became guys who made me believe. And my top 5/6 wrestlers from 13 years old to this day are the same exact ones, and that was Tully Blanchard, Barry Windham, Rick Rude, Jake Roberts, Manny Fernandez / Terry Funk.
There you go.
So all them guys still made me believe, even though I knew it wasn't real no more. So that's how my favorites became.
those
Absolutely.
those guys, they did it real. It might,
Hey, and I
oh,
was and I was I was blessed, and this ain't something many could say. Also, I'm kind of skipping over a bunch of stuff, but I'm blessed because Tully Blanchard I got to train with for 4 months and had him as a booker for 2 shows. Barry Windham was one of my road agents with one of my WWE matches. Rick Rude I never got to meet. Jake Roberts, I picked his brain a lot because I ran the roads for about 2 years with Baby Doll, and Baby Doll is his sister-in-law, so I was able to get in touch with him and talk to him a bunch. Manny Fernandez, I trained with and probably wrestled about 20 times, and then Terry Funk, I got drunk with and picked his brain. So I got to learn from all my favorites except for one, so I'm pretty blessed with that.
that's
That,
amazing.
that's awesome. That's pretty awesome. At what point in your life did you say, okay, I want to pursue this as a career or as a hobby?
Well, from day one, I always wanted to. And when I was growing up, there was no small guys in wrestling. At least they didn't come off small. But my graduation, I graduated in 1989, and Luthez had a wrestling school in Norfolk, Virginia, which was 20 minutes from my house. So my graduation day, I was 17. I graduated when I was 17. I called him. And one of the first things he said was like, "You got to weigh at least 200 to get in my school." And I couldn't break 180 back then. Plus, I was a baseball head. I really thought I was going somewhere with baseball, and so also doing that. But baseball, they don't teach you to put on weight. Plus, I couldn't. I tried and tried, couldn't even if I wanted to. So that's when I was like, "Well, my dream's down the tubes." So, and then the ripe old age of 30 and my first marriage and with 3 kids and all that, the opportunity came and I jumped on it.
Nice, nice. Jay, you got any questions?
Huh? Oh, I'm just
Okay, I'll
listening.
take. Okay.
Keep going. I'm just here to listen.
All
you're,
right,
asking,
all right.
you're asking all the questions that I want to know anyway. So, like, when you nail
Yeah,
the question, I'm just listening. That's but
gotcha.
I'm amazed by it. I know you've probably started off a lot of these guys. Like I'm sure that I mean I can't even imagine. I mean I'm sure a lot of the guys that we see today. I mean I've seen indie guys left and right. I'm sure you've trained a whole bunch of them. Uh,
I mean,
trying to think.
I've been a lot of the guys on TV. I've been around or worked or something. There's only 3 guys that I can say that I actually trained or even had any hand in training. And but other than that, I've been blessed. I could not complain at all, especially getting in so late. But talking about TV guys, the majority of them have wrestled. Like people see Adam Pierce and they just think general manager. They don't understand the wrestler that man
Right.
is. And I wrestled that man for 60 minutes straight, which was freaking amazing. So yeah, I've been blessed, man, with just the guys I've been able to wrestle and what talent I've been around and brains I've been able to pick. And you never stop
Nice.
learning.
I would.
Absolutely.
I'm not even. I honestly, I would prefer. I don't even hardly watch. I watch the professional wrestling like on TV, but I mean, I'm more of an indie guy. That's what I keep
Yeah.
telling everybody. I mean, Sean probably is too. Like it's more passionate. I mean, indie's just. I don't know. It's just more passionate, and I just love it more. I mean,
I watch certain guys. there's certain guys that I want to watch. You know, I can't watch a whole show from start to finish. No, no company. It's just my attention span, I guess. But
Right.
there's just certain guys that I tend to watch that I know I can learn something from. And other than that, I'm just yeah. Like I when I go to bed, I put on YouTube, and it's usually something like Mid South Wrestling or Mid Atlantic Wrestling, something I can put on that can just keep on going, and I just relive, good old memories. And
Yep.
usually you find one of them gym matches you forget was shown back then, and so that's my. I'm not going to put down the guys today because they're there and I'm not, so I can't say
Oh,
much.
right.
But you know they're doing their thing, they're getting paid, but there's certain guys that I try to watch.
Nice. Yeah, we'll get to that here in a little bit. So you started training. Who did you train under?
My two trainers was Preston Quinn and Phil Brown out of Virginia, and
Oh,
I
okay.
to this day, yep, to this day, I'm blessed that I was trained by those two guys and trained the way I was trained. Right? You hear a lot of the researcher trainers and make sure they've been there and done that, did this and did that. These two guys were local guys, and they both had their moments with dark matches here and there and whatnot. But you know, they trained us with their heart and wasn't in for it for the money. So they really it was different, and I'm just blessed. Put it that way. I've seen the money grab guys train and see how it's done, and I'm like, I'm glad. Or I hear stories, and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't have to live through that, and I had two trainers that actually cared.
What would you say is the difference between a professional wrestler that's there for the love of performing versus somebody that just wants to make money?
Um, I think you could tell in the ring. Um, I think you can tell. It's like my wife, especially when we first got together. My wife I'm with now, she could sit in the crowd and she would always hear people talk. And one of the things, fans talk, especially that didn't know she was my wife. So one of the things she heard the most was uh, fans being able to tell who had the passion, fans who could tell, they could tell what wrestlers had the passion, what wrestlers were actually out there and whatnot. You know what I'm trying to say? And so that's I would say the big differences. The fans can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I've been to a bunch of indie shows and even some live shows and watching on TV, and like you can tell who's there because they genuinely love it and they want to connect with the fans, and then you got those guys and gals that are there just for the payday, and it sucks because like as a fan I want to see all performers doing what they're paid to do, and it's just it's hard to sit and watch some of those guys and gals that just half-ass it. You know what I mean?
I hate it because I'm like, especially these days, I'm like, I'm 53 years old. I'm out there busting my ass, and all of these young 20-year-old little kids out here, and you know, it's pitiful. It's pitiful.
I, I was going to ask you that. You said you went in a little bit older, like you went into the game a little bit older. Did that affect? I mean, I guess that probably affected as you went in, because I know if you got you said you went in your 30s.
I started training when I was 30. Um, I was just looking for that. I would have been happy with that once a month, right there with my little home promotion. They ran a show once a month. Um, I would have been happy with that. And it was funny because it was like my trainers in the other class, everybody, from the tryout to the very first night of training, there was probably about 27 of us, and I was the only one to make it out of the initial 27 people.
Wow.
There was probably about 5 or 6 guys that came in later, probably like 3 weeks here, a month later, whatnot, that graduated with me, that were amazing talents. But they were traveling the first year where it was 6 months to where we all basically had our first match. And after that, it was like the first year they were going to over into Carolina with the training. I was married with 3 kids, so I wasn't traveling. And it was like everybody that was coming and seeing me local, and when I mean like people, it was like other promoters, other wrestlers. My name started getting talked about more, and I was like, well, maybe I need to see what I can do with this. If my name's getting talked about. That's when I started traveling. And then it was like as soon as I started traveling, everybody else stopped and started staying home. So yeah, but other than that, but first 6 years, I was blessed because my training, they put me and another guy together. Our last 4 months of training, we trained as a tag team because they knew they wanted us to come in as a tag team. So I had tag team psychology drilled into my head. My first 6 years, I mean, literally, other than my first my second pro match was a singles match. Other than that, for 6 years, it was strictly tag team. And it was me and a guy named Big Time Mike Booth. We were called the Old School Empire. So I was blessed to have tag team drilled in my head from the very start before I even did anything singles. So that was a blessing with my training also.
Absolutely. So, like, I enjoy tag team wrestling. I think there's a lot that goes into tag team wrestling. I mean, obviously, as a fan, I don't know everything, and I'll be the first to admit that. But I love the chemistry with tag teams. What are some of the tag teams that you watched while you were, and studied while you were getting prepared to take on that role as a tag team competitor?
That's a good question.
Of course, I grew up on rock and roll, Midnight Express, Arn and Tully, guys like that. I think we patterned ourselves more after the Midnight Express because we wrote down probably about 25 double team moves from the very simplest thing to our finisher. So every match, if you notice, every time you saw Dennis and Bobby or Bobby and Stan, that every match they did different double team moves. It wasn't like one Saturday night on TBS you saw them do these 2 moves. Next Saturday you saw them do 2 different moves, and so every match, especially places we were going to at multiple places, we were able to slap out. All right, we're going to do these 2 moves tonight. All right, we're going to do these 2 moves tonight. And then we had our 1 or 2 that we knew we were going to hit every match, no matter what. But that and when you talk about chemistry, it's so weird because I've been a part of 2 good tag teams. That one, and then here later with a guy named Lance Erickson called Lords of Chaos. But it's always funny when you hear old guys like Ricky and Robert sit there and talk about, well, I could tell what Robert was going to do. I could tell what Ricky was going to do. And I felt that. We felt that. It was like, we knew what each other was going to do before the other was even going to do it. So it was weird actually living and feeling that after hearing those stories and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I absolutely love tag team.
How important is tag team chemistry? Obviously, if you're in a tag team, how important is that?
It's very because another thing I was getting ready to say is I absolutely love tag team when you got 4 guys that know tag team. When you got one team that knows what's going on, you got another team. That's amazing stuff. It's hard, but it's hard when you got like a tag team and then you're wrestling 2 put together guys that has no clue what tag teams are. They could be the 2 best wrestlers in the world, but if you don't know the psychology of tag teams, then you're just this the match ain't gonna work. But
Yeah.
yeah, it, it means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Jay.
Favorite tag team move? Since you've got so many, what's your fave?
Uh, our finisher, which was the decapitation, which Demolition did, but instead of coming off the
Yeah.
second rope like Bill Eadie did, I came off the top rope.
Oh, nice.
There's
Yeah.
video of it. It's pretty
I
devastating.
gotta
And
find them.
I will say, I'll send it to you, but I will say to this day, it's the most devastating double team move in life.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm biased, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, you were mentioning some of the tag teams that you studied when you were growing up, and one of my favorite tag teams of all time is Arn and Tully. Just their chemistry and the fact like they were brutal, they were vicious for small guys.
I'll tell you something about Arn and Tully. I bet you never noticed. Okay, baby. Um, they are a tag team. If you ever noticed that, I don't think they really had any double team moves. Like Midnight Express, you can name all these double team moves. Rock and Roll Express, you can kind of name these double teams. All these teams, you can name these double. Arn and Tully had no. They might have pulled out a double back elbow or something here and there, but other than like signature moves, like that's an Arn and Tully move.
Yeah.
Other than maybe a spike power driver here and there, but other than that, they're a tag team, which is considered probably the greatest tag team ever, but never had no double team moves.
And that's crazy that you mentioned that because there's a lot of tag teams now in bigger companies that don't have tag team finishing moves, right?
Mm-mm.
Like you've got the New Day and they've got their finishing move. You got War Raiders, but the other guys, nobody else has. Well, you got 3D, you've got the
Dudley
1D,
Boyz. They were my favorite.
but like no other tag teams have finishing moves, and it's very rare to see now.
Well, the sad thing is even if they did, it's not going to beat nobody. Everybody kicks out everybody's finishers these days. So it's
Thank
like,
you for saying it. Thank you for
why would
saying it.
you? Why even have one?
Yeah, I
That's why
agree.
I love. It's like, yeah, and I know times are different, but it was like a finisher was. It's like when you knew that guy. If there wasn't a story being played behind it, you knew when that guy hit that move, it was over.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, let's do this 23rd Fossey right here.
We, I think we
I hate
talk
it.
about the episode.
Look, my
Yeah.
my wife knows this business inside and out. She knows what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. She knows it all, and it's like I don't even think she's paying attention while I'm sitting here watching something on TV, and then she'll just pop out of the blue and be like, "Damn, that's like the 10th Fossey they've already did." And I'm like, "Were you even paying attention to see that?" But she hates them too, man. Fossies are just,
It's just a piece
especially
of
when there's so
point.
many.
It's a piece of point. I mean, it's when you especially WrestleMania matches when they've done like 10, and you're like, okay, we give you 2, but 10, it gets boring. And if you don't have
That,
the like, okay, when are they going to finish? Who's going to finish? How are they going to finish? It's
and I hate that. And the other thing with like finishers that I hate that a lot of guys don't think about is is like, say if my finisher's a brain buster. Well, 5 minutes in a match, I'll hook the guy and do a vertical suplex. Why didn't I just do the brain buster right then and there if I already hooked him for it? Just stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? If my finisher's a power slam, why am I going to pick the guy up and give him a regular slam in the match?
right.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Guys don't. Sorry, my fur baby's all over the place.
It's okay.
But yeah, I got you see the
What
peekaboo over my shoulder there.
what it's super kicks and what did we say it
It's
was?
super kicks and spears.
Super kicks
Yeah,
and spears
super
is what we call
spears.
it.
And it's so funny. It's like these guys, they want to do and I'm like, I'm the opposite. I'm going to stay away from all those moves that everybody's doing, and everybody's like, I want to do that. I want to do. I'm like, oh man, I'm the
Yeah,
opposite.
it's overdone.
What, yeah. Well, Plus, I literally think things backwards, and especially these days, I think about moves and spots that I can take or get the crowd involved in more than I think about anything that I can do to somebody. So I'm totally different than everybody else from the get go.
See, you're a wrestler. That's why
Yeah,
you're
no,
a wrestler.
I,
You're
I
not
I'm a
whatever
worker.
a worker. There you go, worker.
I'm a worker
You're a worker. The guys, these other guys, I don't know what's going on half the time. They're not right.
because they're worried about them. They're the
It's
same ones that go out there and have their whole match called in the back and go out there and they're like, ooh, yeah, yeah. And I mean, shoot, even in the back here and I'm calling going over it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the crowd doesn't react. They come back and they're like, man, the crowd's kind of weird tonight, man. They just want, nah, it's just not what they wanted. They're not,
you.
it's not what they wanted.
Would you prefer? I heard this from several wrestlers. And I've never asked a wrestler this. Would you prefer to call the match as in the ring as you go, or would you
Oh,
prefer to
yeah.
do it back?
Oh, no, 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 no. I'd rather not say a freaking word. Just go out there and work. Go off the crowd.
I've always wanted to ask that because I've had
I mean,
several guys tell me opposites. So
there's several guys I can work, and we don't even speak in the ring other than trying to make each other break by laughing.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
We're not calling moves. We're not calling spots. Yeah. Hey man, you see that big titty girl over there? I'm gonna throw you right in her lap. Shit
That's
like
what I'm
that.
talking about.
That's. I tell guys when you get to that point, you're not worried about the next spot. When you're out there and you can perform without worrying about that, you'll realize how fun professional wrestling is.
Oh yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That is awesome.
So, who were some of the opponents that you wrestled that you absolutely enjoyed working with?
Um, Chase, from this area, Chase Stevens. Chase went from being in my top three bucket list matches to being a guy I've wrestled probably 1,000 times now. But I'd wrestle him every day of the week, twice on Sunday, twice on Saturday too. Shoot. But and he's a guy that we ain't even got to speak when you ain't even got to tell us to finish. We'll go out there and do the finish of what we think the crowd wants. That's but him, Vordell Walker, guy named Sean Denny from back home. Yeah, shoot, man, there's so many guys. I would probably feel bad forgetting them. There's a lot of guys because I consider myself very easy to work with because I don't do anything. I don't do anything. I'm not selfish. I'm the last one on the totem pole that I think about. It's the crowd and my opponent. Other than that, I could care less. I'm going to get over doing whatever I end up doing. I'm not worried about that. And I work off the crowd. If the crowd is into that baby face bumping me for 10 minutes and me losing, then that's what's going to happen. I'm going to get bumped around and then I'm like, I've literally went to shows and complained and bitched and argued with promoters because they had me going over and I'm like, oh, that doesn't make no sense. I need to put him over. I mean, I've argued to lose matches. And you got guys that whine about I can't put this guy over. You know, that to me that's fun these days. Especially I can almost understand it being different if I was hustling and I was 22 years old and I'm trying to get that contract. But like these days, like I went and worked this. They say, "Hey man, you're working this young kid," and I was like, "All right." And when I get a feel of him, and I could feel like, "All right, this kid's really got it in his heart, or he's a good kid," I'll surprise him. Like I said with this one kid, it was in West Virginia, and we were talking, and I was supposed to be going over, and I could tell by just being around him from earlier. I did a seminar earlier in the day. So being around, I was like, yeah, this kid, he's busting his butt type kid. So we're talking over the match, and there was a time for a comeback, and I was trying to call Fossey, and I was like, you know what the kitchen sink is? And he was like, yeah, when you throw the knee to the gut. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, I know that. I was like, can you do a roll up through that? And he was like, yeah, I can do that. And I was like, all right, and I said, when I looked at him, I said, all right, and turned and looked right at the ref because he was sitting there, and I said, That's where you're going to count to three, and the kid's going over. And just kids' eyes got it was like, I'm going over, and I was like, yeah, kids, you're going over. So that's the stuff I enjoy doing these days. That's like I ain't got no spot to protect. I ain't got nothing. I'm out here to have fun. I'm out here to put on a good show. I'm out. I do what the promoter tells me, except for when they tell me to win and I put somebody else over. Especially if I know it's not going to ruin. If it's going, they got plans. I'm not going to go over the booker's head and do something like that. But if it's just this match here or this match there, and even today when I get called for bookings, especially new guys, I'm like, hey, don't, this kind of comes off big headed, but don't look at me as Damien Wayne. Oh, I can't put him under. I can't do this. I can't, dude. I enjoy doing that. Put me in with your young kid that needs help. I can help him in the ring. I can that stuff I enjoy doing.
That's so important, because you're what you're doing is you're helping bring up the next generation of guys that need help.
The more better wrestlers we can get in the business, it's better for all of us.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
more I can help, the more I can help understand what's going on, it's better for all. That's just more better guys to wrestle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen guys. I lived in Alaska for a little bit, and they ran some shows up there, and I seen some guys with names established on them going up there, and they were not in the business anymore, and they're going out there and going into business for themselves and not putting over the talent. It's like, but why? Because this guy has to survive in Alaska that has no fucking, sorry for my language, no fucking, no circuit. Like, they're cut off
Yeah,
from the rest of the country, right?
yeah,
Why aren't you going to put this guy over so he can go to Ohio Valley Wrestling, so he can go somewhere else where he can have a name and establish and say, hey, look, here's my resume. I went over so and so, and not putting that guy or that gal over is just criminal at that point.
okay. I ran into a few of those myself. Man. It's
Do you
it's
remember
like,
that?
dude.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, just no need to believe your own hype.
Yeah,
The
absolutely. Go ahead, Jay.
first time I met you, I walked. Actually, I meant to bring your autograph back here. I've got it in a frame in my room. I meant to bring it back here. But the first time I met him, Sean, I walked up and I said, "Dude," I said, "You're absolutely amazing, and the way you put that guy over was just gold." And I had to talk to him. I know from a fan standpoint, I don't know if that mattered, but man, it was just being a fan for so long and like doing this and getting to talk to guys like you. That's why I do it. Like,
Oh, believe me, I still 23 years. I still pinch myself. I still mark out when I meat guys that I grew up on and talk to. And, it's you know, it's like guys like Ricky Morton on the top of my head. He talks and treats me like I'm somebody he's known all of his life, and this is a guy I watched since I was 10 years old and whatnot. So yeah, I feel you on that side of it, very much so.
it's crazy. It's like I get the
That's how,
opportunity to talk to my heroes.
Yeah,
that's how it was for me. When I had met DDP and Buff Bagwell, like literally back to back, and I just like marked out. I never mark out for anybody, right? Like, I try to treat people like human beings, but I marked out and I was like, oh my god, it's DDP, and I follow his yoga regimen too. So that to me was like super mark out. But yeah, it's cool to, I guess, meet your heroes sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes,
So
yeah, I guess.
go ahead. Rick.
No, I was just gonna say sometimes. You're right. I was agreeing
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're gonna move on. Mr. Damien, what are some of your favorite moves? Like, they don't have to be finishing moves; they can just be regular moves in a match. What are some of your moves that you like to see if it's performed well?
Kick, punch, and cheat. um, cheat, yeah. Seriously, that part from heels don't cheat anymore. But as for moves, like me personally, I got a few that you know that I love doing, and told myself I was gonna make sure I could do and train and whatnot. And I don't go out of my way to do them in every match, but they're my favorite. One being the Buddy Landale corkscrew elbow. I knew from day one I wanted to do that move, and that's one move I can honestly say that in all the years that I've been traveling and been on show, I've never ever seen any other guy do that move or do it on the regular. The only time I ever seen anybody do it was the weekend after his passing, and of course everybody wanted to do it to give him tributes. But that move, my top rope elbow, I knew from day one that was one. That and the power driver, I knew were going to be my two finishers.
Nice.
Yeah, I really don't, because I don't have any. I just do what I feel at the moment. There's not anything that I feel like I don't have a toolbox of moves. I really honestly don't.
How important is it to just to stick to your moveset to what you know? Because I see a lot of guys trying to expand outside of their moveset, or I know moveset is like a terrible term, so I'm sorry. It's like a
Well,
2K25.
no, early on, it's good to stick to that what you know and you're comfortable on doing.
Yeah.
And as you get more experience, more trained, and this is one thing. Like I said, there was three guys that I say that I trained. There was others in the class, but they didn't stick the whole time and didn't go on the road with me, and what these three guys did. But anyway, one thing I had all them do was every day in training, I said, I want y'all to come into training with a move or a spot that y'all want to learn how to take, and a move in the spot y'all want to learn how to execute. That way, I said, I don't care if you think your character is going to do it. I don't care any of that. You bring something different every time. That way, every one of y'all can do something different. That way, I mean, I've even had guys on my level or more experienced than me call a move. And there's been plenty of moves that they've called that I've never did in my life, but I was comfortable enough to know that I could execute that move. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I, I felt like if they brought something different to the table every training class, that way every one of them was doing something different, then hopefully in the back of their head, like riding a bike, 5 years down the road, somebody said, call it a spear. And they've never did a spear in their life, but hey, the bicycle in their head, just, I can do that without having to be like, cut them off and be like, I don't know how to do that. So that's one thing I did, and I think that gets missed because you said the word move set. Everybody's worried about move set and naming their moves.
Yeah.
That's one thing I know. I think we did it the first year in training. We were kind of naming our moves because we were just messing around. But I never, even when I've had commentators come up and say, "Hey man, what do you need me to get over?" And what's your finisher? Power driver and top rope elbow. They got a name, power driver and top rope elbow.
So
Now, that's just they worry about what they want to do instead of things to it, because there might be a kid that's 3 years in and he's got all these fancy moves that he likes to do, and I go out there and I call something for him to do, something simple, and I've had that happen, and they don't know how to do it, and I'm like, yeah, you can do a 450 splash through two tables onto the floor, but you can't do this. So
You can't throw a lariat? What the hell?
yeah. Or it looks like shit when you do throw it.
Yeah. So here's a question that I heard from somebody on a different show, and the wrestler, I'm not gonna say the name, but he's a pretty big name. He couldn't give the answer to. Maybe you might be able to. What is the difference between a lariat and a clothesline?
Nothing, the name.
Just a name?
Yeah, because
Don't you go heavier into a lariat? Don't you like put your full body into a lariat and a clothesline? So you just like kind of I don't know.
well, every clothesline I throw is full body, buddy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know about I don't throw no Lex Luger clotheslines.
I don't know. I have no
I
idea.
throw Stan Hansen lariats, but I don't have a lariat.
Okay.
So that
All
to me,
right.
it's just the name. To me, it's just the name because every lariat I throw is or clothesline, whatever you want to. I'm blasting the dude, and if I'm taking one, I tell the guy, you better take my fucking head off. Excuse my language. You better take my head off.
That's awesome.
Don't give me no Lex Luger look like clothesline, and don't throw me a clothesline where it looks like it broke your arm, and don't throw me a clothesline where it looks like I ran right through you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
You
into
better
it.
throw that
So,
thing to the hell.
yeah, and I'm going to throw it, but I'm safe. But I'm going to throw that bad boy. You know,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you prefer to be heel or face?
it all depends. If I'm somewhere's new, it's always easier to be heel. But if I'm established somewheres, it's okay for me to be baby because my character, Damien Wayne doesn't really change. He's kind of like Austin.
Hell
I
yeah.
kick, punch, and cheat as a baby, as a heel. I mean, there's plenty of shows that as a baby face, I cheated more in my match than every heel put together on the show. So I don't. My character doesn't have to change. It's just who I'm wrestling. So uh, being in a new place, I prefer to be heel because it's so much. And another thing, I prefer being heel because I really love getting the fans and kids involved. And there's so many things to make me look like a complete jackass that I can do out there to get kids involved. So that's really fun for me.
Nice. Who are your favorite heels? Like some of them.
Well, of course, the greatest heel of all time, Tully Blanchard. You know, he's one of my greatest heels. A heel, Jake Roberts.
Hmm.
Yeah, awesome. Shoot, I mean, back then, back then they were able to be heels. So I can sit here and name old school guys all day. But as for today's guys, without going into the things that they do now, like burning each other's houses down and this and that, I have to say, just with body language, motion, the way he talks and what he does, I'll always go to Randy Orton.
Yeah, Randy Orton's bad. He's a
I
bad guy.
mean, yeah, I mean, he could just his body demeanor and just everything like that is so heelish when he wants to be the heel. So other than
I
that,
think
they're like doing capital murder to each other and whatnot just to try to get heel heat. It's like, come on,
yeah.
man.
I'm a huge fan of Legend Killer Randy Orton. I think that is the
Yeah,
best version of Randy Orton. Period. Uh,
he's so good. He is so good.
so good. Yeah, the capital that's why I don't watch AEW anymore. Just they take it too far sometimes. Just personal opinion.
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't understand it, but I guess. And then you can always everybody can always nitpick things, and I didn't like like the greatest match of all time to me was the I Quit Terry Funk and Ric Flair match from '89, but I didn't really dig the lead up where he put a bag over Flair's. That's like you're trying to kill the dude. That's
Right.
Yeah.
but I'm not in. That's another rabbit hole to go down. Right? So,
Well, I
It's,
mean, yeah, and the same can be said for like Terry Funk and Mick Foley when Funk was trying to brand Foley's face.
yeah, I'm just so into anything being believable, and if I don't think it's believable, it really makes me hard to get into it, even old school stuff. So
Yeah,
that
I've
absolutely.
heard
that, that
I've had to explain to my oh sorry, go ahead.
no,
No, go
no,
ahead.
you're fine.
I've had to explain to my kids lately. Like we recently went to CCW match and Chase, Chase and what's the other guy? Oh man, I forgot his name. They had a hardcore match, like a extreme match. It was just
Was
this
it
past
Parker?
yeah, Parker.
Was it Parker?
And
Yeah.
well, you know, Chase was bleeding pretty good. Well, my daughter started freaking out, and I'm like, baby, it's okay. She's like, Dad, he needs somebody to come get him. And I had to explain to her how you guys do it. And but I mean, just I don't know why I even mentioned that. It just that was like I don't know. I don't even know. I lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with that, Sean. I lost my train of thought. There was a lot of blood. There was a lot of blood, and I had to
Yeah.
explain to my kid that it was fake, but not fake. So
There's
uh,
many a times where I've had to tell somebody I'm okay.
yeah, she's
I'm
like, they
okay.
need the hospital. I'm like, they're okay. It's a promise.
Well, I remember the very first time my mother and my grandmother came to see me wrestle. And they happened to come to a show in North Carolina where there was no commission, no rules or anything. And I'm wrestling a buddy of mine, Adrian Whisper, who I had a major feud with, and we're in a weapon, anything goes match or something like that. And normally we would bleed buckets. And I was like, look, buddy, my mom and grandma's here tonight. I cannot bleed. I said, if I got a scratch here and there, that's fine, but I can't bleed normal. Da, 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 da. He's like, yeah, man, we'll take care of you. Da, da, da. And he was taking care of me, except for we we got a we had a plastic snow shovel in there, and he went to hit me with that, and it it broke or so. Anyways, it put a big gash in my head. I mean, blood everywhere. I mean, to where my grandma gets up with a chair and she's coming towards the ring.
Oh,
but but we get in the back and he was like, dude, I held it loose and I felt it. He didn't hit me hard. That's why I was like, why did it bust me open? And he even held it loose to where he was hoping that when he hit me, it would just spin in his hand. That way it wasn't. But somehow it broke when he hit me, and the point of it gashed me open like crazy. I was like, yeah, this won't good for my mom. But to go way back to where I was 12 years old and I watched 2020 Break the Secrets. Well, Eddie Mansfield sat there and showed how they made the blade and where they hit it and how they did everything. So at 12 years old, the very next day, we're out in the backyard making blades. And there was one time I came in the house and my mom, I had long hair, and my mom was like, if you ever do that again, I'll never let you watch wrestling again. She jumped on my ass. So what am I, young dumbass? I moved up into the hairline and we started cutting up there. So she was kind of used to it. It was my grandma I was more worried about.
I did stupid stuff like that. I never got to be a wrestler, but we always had mattresses. Me and my buddy we would beat the crap out of each other on mattresses. We'd find old mattresses and put them out in the yard and beat the crap out of each other on them. So
We did it right on the ground, man. What we saw on TV, we were out in the yard doing
that's what
Man,
suplexes, power slams, everything.
I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I did a Hogan leg drop on my sister, and I didn't watch wrestling for like 7 or 8 years after that.
Well, yeah, your
Wild.
sister especially, and yeah. So you take your grandchildren with you. That's what's he's a grandfather. I saw at the. I was watching. I've
Well,
been.
excuse me, that was the very first time they ever seen me wrestle, and
Oh,
it just happened to be. I wrestle in Panama City Beach, Florida, every other month, and they actually went the weekend before and was staying all week for vacation. So it just happened that they was going to be there, and
that's so cool.
that's how they came and saw me wrestle. And being a baby face there, I was able to let them come out with me and all that good stuff. So yeah, they
How
absolutely loved it.
How was that for them?
Dude, it's funny because they didn't know they were going to, they knew about coming to the show, but they had no clue about coming out with me. And I think I was like fourth or fifth, right? It was somewhere around there, fourth or fifth. And, of course, Hill goes out first. So Hill music stuff. My wife knew we were going to do this. So she was standing with them. And uh, I think there was something going on to where we thought it was intermission, and then the Heels music started playing, and I was like, "Oh shit, it's our match!" So anyway, Heels music playing. So I ran out to the door and I peeked through the door, and my wife saw me. I was like, "Tell them to come here." So they had no clue until the last minute. So they came out with me, and dude, they thought that was it. And as we walked around, the oldest, they were 8 and 6, and the oldest was on the right, so he was closest to the fans. And he's fist bumping the fans, and my little saying is real fight shit. And every time he's fist bump, this is real fight shit, baby. This is real fight shit, man. And man, inside I'm just rolling. I'm like,
That's
this
awesome.
they are having the time of their life, man. And
That's
another
awesome.
cool thing is I teamed with David Young, and they actually sat on the steps that comes out of our dressing room where we come out of the curtain. They sat right there on the steps. As soon as we won the match and we were out of the ring, leaning up on the ring apron, selling and whatnot, they come running down to us, giving us. They were checking on us. They come down there giving us big hugs and making sure we were okay and everything. So they had the time of their life, man. They absolutely they thought all the wrestlers were bigger than life. All the autographs. They actually weren't pain in the butts. They didn't get in anybody's way or anything like that. The youngest, the 6 year old, he can almost tell you everybody's name and what they did and who they wrestled and if they lost. He can tell you all that.
That's awesome.
That's our future. We're
Oh
teaching them.
yeah.
I mean, that's that. My kids, they didn't start till I didn't think my son to an indie until I think he was 13. But I mean, it's just, and now he doesn't even want to. Like I've taken him to Raw, and then I've taken him to Indies. He refuses to go back to Raw or anything like that. And
Oh
the
yeah.
reason
It's
is
different.
because of the interaction. Like you don't remember, but I'm sure I don't know if it was you. He yelled, "You suck at somebody," and they turned around and was like, "Oh, I suck. Why don't you come in here?" And then seeing his face is what makes that's what makes this
Well,
all the
well,
more.
that's what I try to pass down to the guys. I'm like, dude, pay attention to the crowd. I was like, I
Yeah,
know me personally when I was going to the shows, if I said Ric Flair, you suck, if he just looked in my direction,
dude, it's
I was like,
yeah.
he heard me. He heard me. Anything. So that's why, and it's so funny because it's one day I asked my wife, I was like, why? Because kids, especially little girls, they love, even as a heel, they love me to death. And I'm like, why does these kids, especially little girls, like I said, I'm mean looking, I'm old, I'm grumpy, I come off as a grumpy. I'm off. She just looked at me. She's like, you give them attention, you pay attention to them, you
Yep.
talk to them, you
Yep.
just that. And I've gotten more comments at shows or messages from parents saying thank you for making my son's night or thank you for making my daughter's night, and it's from a heel interaction that I had with them being mean and this and that, but I'm playing into them, so it don't take much, man, and guys just couldn't forget it.
That's
It's just
awesome.
so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah. So before we shut down, we're about to hit that time. There is two questions I ask every guest. First is if you could wrestle anybody from any time frame, any promotion, dead or alive, who would it be?
A heel Damien Wayne against a Ricky Steamboat, I think would be
Yeah.
one hell of a match. There's a lot of guys I would love to wrestle, of course, but I'm looking at that. As for today, um, As for today, I would probably, I mean, of course, I would love to wrestle Randy Orton. Um, he would, that would just be unbelievable. But as for the day to do like a heel or babyface type gimmick, I, I would like to. I could see a heel Damien Wayne and a babyface CM Punk having a really good match.
Oh, I like
I
that.
like it.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like it. All right, and final question of the night is, what are you grateful for today? What are three things you're grateful for?
I'm grateful for the Lord. I'm grateful for Him changing my life. And I'm grateful for being as my wife puts it, a mog, a man of God. I'm grateful for my wife. She's a blessing from God. That without her, I'm nothing. And I'm grateful for all these fur babies that I got. There's so many
Absolutely.
things that I could be grateful for and I'm blessed for. I'll never complain. Life's too good right now to complain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Mr. Damien, I am grateful for you for taking time out of your day, your busy day, to come and talk to us.
Yeah, look, I always want to say thank you to you guys because y'all, guys on y'all's platform and anything like that. Thank you. I try to speak for all of us wrestlers. Thank you for allowing us to promote ourselves and give us a place to tell our stories and get ourselves over or what else. Thank you for that, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
This is like I said, it's been this has been a huge honor. Like I've been waiting for a while, you know that. I've had so many things come up, I hadn't been able to get on here and do this, but it has been an honor. I thank you so much for coming on and just sharing everything. I'm
Yeah.
sure you could continue to talk. We could probably do this again sometime, I'm sure,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah. We could have
just
part two, three, four, and five. Oh, yeah, we can.
we should for sure. But yeah, just amazing. Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys.
I mean, I
Thank
really
you.
don't know what else to say, but thank you. Yeah, it's been an honor for sure, man.
Absolutely.
So,
Same
Absolutely.
here. Same here.
And till next time, everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with us. And wrestling is real. People are fake.